nib, Raphael brush, and the Hitograph Tech Pen. And we are going to use all three doing the same stuff, and let's see if you can spot the subtle differences. And it's very, 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 very little differences. So let's go ahead and start with the nib. This is a Hunt 102, and we're gonna do like the same details on this rock surface. So I'm gonna try to do this without rotating the page, which I often do. We will start with, let's go with our, try not to block the way here, our Hunt 102. So because it is a rocky surface, we're gonna get a lot of like blippy, bloppy lines, more organic, more see, rough. And let's see, we'll go almost here. So here we go with the nib. The fun with doing organic background is that you can do this with, I mean, even like the techie background, you can do it freehand too. It always gives it a little more spontaneity, which gives it more energy, more natural look, and less sterile. And you can do little wiggles and stuff too. You can really play with the tool and push it, literally push it to where you can get different line weights. And you're gonna have like cracks. Sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 3, sometimes it's a big gap. Sometimes it's so small like you don't see it, so there's like broken lines. Okay, so there we go. First demo. With our Hunt 102 nib. Next, let's see, which shall we go with? Brush or Tech Pen? Okay, so let's go. We'll go brush. Ta-da! And I am using a number 2 Raphael, but you can use 3, 4, whatever you want to do. The tips are usually pretty good, so even like if you use a 4, just don't overload your brush. And if you need to, you can always kind of like just kind of, oops, oops, tap it on something if you have a little too much ink on there. You don't really need very much, so I just kind of like tap. I don't even load it all the way either, just even like a tiny little bit is good, especially if you're doing smaller details. But if you load it and not like overload it to where the belly is like fat, you should be fine. It'll take you quite a distance before you have to dip again. So here we'll go with a Raphael, and they won't look that much different because you have the control of the tools and you're the one who's going to tell it what to do. So people have asked, how do I know which tool to use? And my answer is usually like whatever you feel like playing with for the day. You can usually get some of the same lines or the same effect. I said I wasn't going to move the page much, but I just did, didn't I? Okay, I said I would try. I think I wasn't going to. I don't always succeed. Okay, so here we go. I hope that's focus. All right. So, same like thick, thin, chunky. I need to get my brushes dry, so first couple dips, you might have to dip a little bit more, let the brush soak in your ink before you actually load it, because sometimes when it's really, really dry, it kind of repels. So here we go. Same sort of stuff. You have little chunky, thick, thin, and you can go forward or back, whatever is comfortable. And the only way you know is like which way to go. I think each person will have to find for themselves what is more comfortable, because some might prefer going forward like this or backwards, however you want to say it. And or sometimes you might want to go the other direction, same thing. Like I said, this is organic rocky surface, so it is a lot more forgiving. You don't have to be like, they don't all have to be perfect and uniform. It gives you a lot more flexibility. And with the brush, I think the benefit would be if you want to do large, like darker areas, it's a lot faster. And for something like this, you might want to go thick, and then you need something super thin, thick. Let's just pretend there's a big gap right there. So basically the same thing. So you can use brush or nib or tack pen, whatever you want to use. You have the option, I guess. You have all kinds of different fun, you, me, we have all kinds of different fun supplies we can use. So I think it comes down to what your preference is, and I think that if you have a little more experience with all of them, it gives you more flexibility, because some days you just might want to play around with a tack pen, other days you might want to play with the brush. And if you have like paper quality is also another thing to consider. If you have paper that has really like bad surface where it either bleeds or it's super soft, and your nib or your tack pen tends to shred a little bit more, gives you a lot of pain in the butt. But if you have experience with the brush, you can just pick up the brush instead and use that, and that will be a lot more gentle on the surface, so you don't have that same shredding issue as you would with like a tack pen or a nib. So that would be the benefit of having a brush over those two. And you can test, like if you're working with a penciler and you're kind of limited to whatever their paper preference is, you just have to work with it. So that's where the versatility or having a little more experience with different tools will come in handy. I think the Micron would probably work well. Oh, hey, why don't we add Micron to this too? We can. Okay, so when do you use brush? When do you use tack pen? When do you use nib? It's just, it really doesn't matter. It's up to you. It's you figuring out how to make the tool work for what you need it for. And it just comes down to having enough practice to where it doesn't matter what you're holding, because it's you who's doing it. So it's not necessarily tools. And sometimes the tools make some things easier, but it also can depend on the day. Some days I'm better with brush than I am with the nib. Some days it's the other way around. So, excuse me, a little scratchy throat. Okay, so have we had enough with the brush? You can do, like I said, similar to that. I think, did I do that with the nib? Okay, we can do that here too. So let's do that. I keep moving and I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. It's hard to talk and ink at the same time. So you can get similar lines or similar detail stuff. I'm moving around a lot because I'm trying not to rotate the page. And normally as I work, I rotate the page quite a bit. Okay, so have we had enough of the brush? So you can kind of see what it does. All right. Okay, brush, and number 3 up. Let's see, we're gonna add number 4, which is the Micron, which is not too different from the Tech pen or the rapidograph pen. We'll talk about the difference when we get to the Micron, I suppose. So with the Tech pen, you can do the same thing. I think that, oh, this one's got a little bit of goop. So yeah, when I start off, sometimes I make sure I wipe off the pen, because sometimes you can have a little bit of dry ink, and it's not the end of the world if you get a little blob of it on your page, but sometimes it really doesn't cause that much of a mess, but other times it does, because you can smudge that blob. Okay, so as you can see, the Tech pen, you get 1 line thickness, and it doesn't mean you can't do like the blippy bloppy thing. You just kind of have to do it differently. Oops, it's okay. We make happy accidents. Okay, so what you do is you just have to go over, and sometimes I do a little bit of this sort of thing where I do, like, Tech pens don't always work well when it's angled, so sometimes that might be your limitation. So with Tech pens, and especially with this penciler, who I shall not yet name, you do like a double line thing, or you can just go back and forth and for the thicker part, so you can still get that blippy bloppy look. Okay. So the benefit of the Tech pen over the Micron, you can go back and forth. Woohoo! Fun. You can add extra wiggles. Don't go too crazy though. It depends on how long you've been working with a penciler and how open they are to little things like that. So, but you don't have to do that whole double thing. You can just do the, where are we? Okay. Yeah, so you can just do like the single thing. If you can get the pen going again, I have it kind of angled because I have the camera hovering right above the page. Sometimes you can go a little bit faster because it keeps flowing. So some days I'm faster with brush, some days the other limiting thing to the Tech pen is, oh my goodness, it will clog if you have ink sitting in there for a long time and if you don't use your pen. Because it does get a little more, it does evaporate and the ink does get thick inside the little chamber there and all the little wiggly pathway of the ink flow. it does get clogged up. Okay, so you can do like thick, thin of the little cracks in the rocks too, but like I said, you just have to go back and forth a little bit. And I kind of like that sometimes it does skip, especially on these organic surfaces where you get a little bit more of that rougher look. Make things up as you go too. If it skips a little, because that's nature, that's natural, how light hit things. It's not always going to be perfectly uniform. So okay, so that's the Tech pen. And we are going to add the Micron, which I don't use very often. And again, I know that when you, with erasing, the ink on this is going to erase differently from my usual Ultra Draw ink that I have, that I fill my Tech pen with, that they use for my nib and quill. So that is something to be mindful of, especially on original traditional art. If it's going to fade differently, it might look weird. So maybe you have to be a little more strategic if you're going to use them together. Like the Tech pen, you have flat lines, but sometimes with the Micron, you can get slightly different thickness with varying the pressure you put on the pen. And you can also just go over, and then you can almost kind of get like a nib-like look to it too, if you really play around with the amount of pressure you put on the point as you ink. Again, we can do the same thing. With this particular detail, it's just simple flat lines. But you can also feather with it too if you need to. Any of the tools. Again, more. You can feather it, throw the line. You don't have to throw it fast or anything, but you just have to. I mean, sometimes going fast kind of changes the ink flow, so you have much thinner lines. So you can have the points, but you can do the same by just lifting. Yeah, just taking off a little bit of pressure as you go. So you can get thicker, thinner lines out of that same pen. I'm gonna go back and touch this up, so don't worry guys, it'll be perfect in the final product. Okay, so yeah, there we have it. A simple demo with Micron, an old one, your Pedograph, Tech pen, my buddy Raphael, who is like all worn from use, number 2, my quill, which is somewhere. I have different holders, but this one happens to be, you can use lead holders. I know people have questions about some of my other holders, but there we go. A quick demo with some of your classic traditional inking tools. Thanks for joining me. The most valuable tool would be you and the amount of time you put into practicing. Those are your most valuable tools. All right, thanks. Until next time, bye.